Winter is finally here, so as the snow falls and the rigid winds blow, it seemed like the perfect time to come inside, get nice and cozy in your favorite hoodie, and get warmed up by some scorching hot Sonic takes. I've said it before, I'll say it again, if there's one thing that Sonic fans have, it's opinions. And I'm no different, and judging from the comment section of the last big video, neither are you. So I thought, why not give you my 5 hottest Sonic takes? We'll start with the lightest and then get hotter as we go. And number 1 could actually make you hate me. But remember, this is just my opinion, so let's have some fun and try not to roast me too hard in the comments. I'm kidding, do it. So without further ado, let's go. Roger Craig Smith has the worst Sonic voice. I've talked about Roger's voice a lot on this channel, full video on it here, so I'm not gonna go crazy. I started and grew up with the Adventure era, hearing what I think are the best voices Sonic's ever had. Ryan Drummond, who I actually got to meet this year.
Holy crap, it's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Whoa, how did he do that? It's Peter Griffin. Never thought I'd meet that guy.
Wow.
And Jason Griffith. So having not been able to play Sonic Colors and getting my hands on Sonic Generations, I heard that voice for the first time.
Hey guys, what's going on? You having a party or something?
And it just threw everything out of whack. It just did not fit to me, and I pretty much still think that to this day. Something I want to make very clear though is I don't hate Roger Craig Smith at all. I actually really like him. I've heard him in other roles that are absolutely awesome. And even in Sonic, just because I don't think his voice fits doesn't mean he's not doing a good job. And he also just seems like a really cool person. But just going from this
Showing remorse, Eggman? If you played nice, I wouldn't have to break all your toys.
to this,
Hey, not cool.
I just don't see it. For the longest time, I really hated that Sonic voice. But now it's growing on me a little bit, I guess, even since my full video that I made about it, and since that new scene in Shadow Generations. The hate and disdain for that voice has really gone down to more of a, I don't like it, but it is what it is kind of thing. The story in a Sonic game is just as important as the gameplay, and should also take itself seriously when needed. There are plenty of people out there that don't think the story matters at all. It's just a video game about a hedgehog, it doesn't have to have a good story to it. Of course it doesn't have to, we can jump into any game and just play it and have fun. But a great story doesn't just add more entertainment, but elevates the entire experience as a whole. Of course the game itself has to be good too, but characters that you grow to love, going through a new narrative, interacting with other characters, getting into new situations, brings a more emotional investment into the game. And I think that aspect gets a game to stick with you a lot longer and in a lot more meaningful way. As for taking itself seriously, I don't mean that every story has to be serious, more that the story shouldn't just be an obligation that somebody craps out into the game just because it has to be there. Overall, not even just in Sonic games, a good story can do wonders for a game. Coincidentally, I also have a video on that right here. Number 3. The Adventure era was the best era. Obviously, this is very subjective, but that's what I think. The Adventure games, while obviously not perfect, just feels like it had the best synergy. While each game definitely feels different to one another, when I think back to them, I still group them in one big group. They feel like they go together. Of course, Adventure 1 and 2 feel more similar than Heroes does, but it still just doesn't feel that separate. It was also where the stories were the best. The Adventure era is what made the characters who they are today. Of course, they've gone through some changes, but the Adventure games is where their personalities really got their start, at least having them fleshed out from 2D sprites with descriptions. And I still think Adventure 1 and 2 have some of the best Sonic gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I do like the boost style of gameplay, but having a little bit more control while still going fast always felt more fun to me. But that is the ramblings of an almost 30-year-old man. The 3D games are better. I love the 2D Sonic games, most of them. Honestly, that goes along with my love of storytelling in the games, but there's also just so much more to be had, in my opinion, when you have a 3D environment to explore. A lot of the 2D games that came out after Sonic went to 3D seem to always feel like more of spin-offs than anything, not a continuation. It seems that no matter how much hype is put behind a 2D Sonic game, it never really lives up to the 3D ones. So yeah, don't get me wrong, there are some phenomenal 2D Sonic games that I absolutely love. I just think the 3D ones are a lot better. You're not gonna like this one. If you watched my Sonic Renaissance video, you may have noticed something here. Having lived through the best and worst the Sonic series has to offer, I hated Sonic Colors. Let me explain. I never got to play Sonic Colors when it was first out for the Wii. I didn't have a Wii at the time, so I had never gotten to play it. And since then, I just never got around to getting back to it. Until a few years ago when Sonic Colors Ultimate came out. I was pumped. Over the years, I had heard how great this game was. They're making a version I can play on modern hardware? Great! I'll play it. I can't wait. This is just forces in space. I'm sorry, I know this is some people's first and some people's favorite Sonic game of all time, but it just felt like I was playing Forces again. It was just boring and tedious in the exact same way that Forces was. And before anybody jumps me that it was Ultimate, I don't recall any glitches when I was playing. I had no problems in that regard. Again, just to me, the game sucked. Not only was the gameplay itself boring, but one of my favorite bits, the story.
Hey, Tails, you missed the BBBE. Huh? Best boss beating ever.
Look how they massacred my boy.
I'm honestly glad I never played that game when it came out. It came out when I was a younger teenager, wanting to be seen as cool and mature, and if I had seen Sonic acting like this, Saturday morning Disney Junior type
Baldy nose hair!
Even back then, I don't think I would ever fully give up on Sonic, but if I had played Colors before I played Generations, I would have distanced myself from anything like that. And that is probably my hottest Sonic take. Do you agree with any of my hot takes? Do you hate my guts now? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on The Z-Man Show.